To report to you on the sudden and unexpected death last night of television actor John Ritter at the age of 54.
The shocking truth behind John Ritter's sudden death has finally come to light, and it's far darker than anyone imagined. For decades, fans mourned the beloved Three's Company star, puzzled by how a man so full of life could be gone so quickly. New revelations now suggest that what seemed like a tragic accident was only part of a far more disturbing story. The mystery surrounding Ritter's final moments is finally unraveled, and the answers are chilling. Very few people know that John Ritter's teenage years were marked by an incident that would leave a permanent physical and psychological imprint on his life. While riding in a car with the windows down, an unpredictable accident occurred. A projectile of unknown origin struck his right eye. The impact was severe, immediately compromising his vision. The injury was not something that could be entirely corrected or treated. It results in permanent damage. From that day forward, Ritter's right eye no longer retains normal vision. Only peripheral sight remains in that eye, and the pupil's appearance had been irrevocably altered. For a young man in the midst of adolescence, a time already rife with self-consciousness and identity formation, this sudden and irreversible change would have been a profound adjustment. Living with a significant visual impairment in one eye carries challenges that extend far beyond the obvious physical limitations. Depth perception, coordination, and spatial awareness all rely on the integration of both eyes. For Ritter, this meant that every daily activity, whether playing sports, navigating crowded streets, or even simple tasks like reading signs or judging distances, required a heightened awareness and constant adjustment. It is likely that he developed compensatory habits over time, subconsciously relying more on his left eye and the remaining peripheral vision of his right. Even routine experiences could become mentally taxing as the brain continuously recalibrated to accommodate the asymmetry in vision. Beyond the practical difficulties, the injury also had a psychological dimension. Adolescence is a period when physical appearance and social perception can dominate self-esteem and personal confidence. Ritter, now carrying a visible mark of trauma in his eye, may have had to contend with curiosity, questions, or even stares from peers. He also had to reconcile his own sense of identity with a changed perception of himself, a challenge that requires both resilience and adaptability. This internal adjustment would eventually shape his approach to life and work, giving him a deeper empathy and awareness of vulnerability that subtly informed his performances. Remarkably, despite this serious impairment, Ritter went on to pursue a career in acting, a field that often demands precision, expressiveness, and the ability to physically inhabit roles with energy and nuance. Physical comedy, in particular, requires keen spatial awareness and timing. Actors often move quickly through complex sequences, react to co-stars, and interact with props or sets. Ritter's early injury could have been seen as a potential barrier to such a career, yet he found ways to adapt. The human body and mind are capable of extraordinary compensation, and Ritter leveraged these adjustments to create an expressive, engaging, and memorable screen presence. His trademark charm and comedic timing were never hindered. In fact, one could argue that navigating life with a permanent physical limitation imbued him with a unique perspective on vulnerability, resilience, and humor. It is also worth noting that an eye injury like Ritter's would have had long-term implications beyond his professional life. He would have had to remain vigilant about protecting his remaining vision, recognizing that further injury could have profound consequences. Medical follow-ups, lifestyle adjustments, and daily care were likely part of his reality from that moment onward. John Ritter was born into a world already steeped in the glitz, demands, and pressures of show business. His father, Tex Ritter, was a celebrated singer and actor, known for his commanding presence in Western films and his rich, resonant voice. His mother, Dorothy Faye, was also a talented actress with her own Hollywood career. Growing up, John was surrounded not only by the glamour and opportunities of the entertainment world, but also by the relentless expectations, scrutiny, and sacrifices that life in the public eye demanded. From an early age, he witnessed firsthand the complex interplay between talent, ambition, and the pressures of maintaining a career under constant observation. The household was one where achievement was expected. Personal identity was intertwined with public perception, and the weight of legacy could not easily be ignored. While the family environment offered opportunities and exposure to the craft of performance, it also exposed John to the darker realities of fame. He would have seen his father navigate the challenges of sustaining a career in a highly competitive industry, balancing public image, personal ambition, and private struggles. Tex Ritter's successes were remarkable, but they came with pressures that extended into the home. The need to maintain a professional persona, the sacrifices required for touring and performances, and the emotional toll of public scrutiny. Observing his father's experiences, John gained an intimate understanding of both the rewards and burdens of life in entertainment. These observations likely shaped his own approach to acting, instilling a mix of ambition, professionalism, and perhaps caution about the costs of fame. The formative impact of family pressures became even more pronounced with the tragic loss of his father in 1974, when John was about 25. Tex Ritter's death was officially attributed to a heart attack, but over time some family members came to suspect that an aortic dissection, a sudden, often fatal rupture of the major artery, may have been the true cause. This condition would tragically mirror the one that would later claim John's own life, decades later, casting a haunting shadow over the family narrative. The suddenness and severity of his father's passing likely left John grappling with intense grief, shock, and a profound sense of vulnerability. Losing a parent in early adulthood can be destabilizing, particularly when that parent had been both a guiding figure and a symbolic representation of personal and professional legacy. Beyond the immediate grief, John may have felt a subtle but persistent burden of legacy. He was inheriting not just the memory of his father's career, but also the expectations that accompanied it. Tex Ritter's life in the spotlight, his achievements, and even his struggles may have been internalized by John as both inspiration and challenge. A set of unspoken standards to honor, yet also a cautionary tale. This duality could have influenced the trajectory of his own career, driving him to succeed while also fostering sensitivity to the pressures that accompanied public life. In witnessing his parents' lives, John was exposed to a full spectrum of experience: the joys of artistic expression, the rewards of professional recognition, the strains of constant expectation, and the fragility of human life. Despite the setbacks of his early years, John Ritter managed to carve a remarkable path through Hollywood, transforming personal adversity into professional achievement. After completing his studies at the prestigious drama school at the University of Southern California, he honed his craft in theater and small screen roles, gradually building a reputation for versatility, timing, and warmth. His early life, shaped by the sudden loss of his father, Tex Ritter, and the permanent vision impairment in his right eye, had instilled in him resilience, adaptability, and a quiet determination to succeed. These formative experiences, though painful, perhaps prepared him for the unpredictable and demanding world of acting, where talent alone is rarely enough to sustain a career. Ritter's breakout role came with the hit sitcom Three's Company, 1977 to 1984, where he portrayed the charming, inventive, and often physically comedic Jack Tripper. The show required a high level of physicality, slapstick, pratfalls, exaggerated gestures, and rapid timing, demands that would challenge even the most experienced performers. For Ritter, performing such sequences while living with a permanent eye injury added an invisible layer of difficulty. Losing normal vision in one eye affects depth perception and spatial awareness, essential faculties for a performer navigating physical comedy, props, and co-actors. Though Ritter rarely spoke publicly about the limitations imposed by his injury, it is evident that he had to compensate constantly, relying on peripheral vision, careful coordination, and acute focus. The fact that he could deliver such effortless comedic timing while adapting to a lifelong impairment speaks to both his skill and inner fortitude. Beyond the physical challenges, Ritter also faced the emotional complexities of public life. As the son of Tex Ritter and Dorothy Fay, he carried a legacy of fame and expectations, balancing the desire to honor his family's history with the ambition to carve out his own identity. His success on Three's Company catapulted him into the national spotlight, bringing adulation, media attention, and the pressures of being a household name. Yet despite this visibility, much of his personal struggle remained private. Unlike many celebrities, Ritter's middle years were largely free of scandal, publicized tragedies, or sensational headlines. Instead, his life was characterized by steady professional work, dedication to his craft, and the subtle, ongoing management of his early hardships. The contrast between his outward success and his concealed challenges paints a picture of a man whose personal journey was complex, nuanced, and marked by perseverance. In addition to acting, Ritter pursued varied creative endeavors, including directing and voice work, further demonstrating his adaptability and willingness to embrace new challenges. He approached his craft with professionalism and humility, attributes likely forged through a lifetime of navigating adversity, grief, physical limitation, and the sometimes unrelenting pressures of show business. Even in his most visible moments on stage or screen, the legacy of his early injuries and family experiences was quietly present, informing his empathy, humor, and the authenticity that endeared him to millions of fans. Of course, those are not all the tragedies that John Ritter had to go through. This is considered the greatest tragedy. John Ritter's life came to a sudden and shocking conclusion on September 11, 2003, leaving a profound sense of grief and disbelief among fans, colleagues, and loved ones. The day began like any other for Ritter, who was actively engaged in his work as the star of the popular sitcom 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. He was rehearsing for an episode when he suddenly became acutely ill. Witnesses later recounted seeing him experience severe chest pain, coupled with nausea and vomiting, classic, alarming symptoms that initially suggested a heart attack. Given Ritter's energetic yet demanding career, his sudden collapse seemed both shocking and incomprehensible. Ritter was immediately rushed to Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank, California, the very hospital where he had been born 54 years earlier. Doctors initially treated him for a suspected myocardial infarction, working under the assumption that his symptoms reflected a typical cardiac event. However, within a matter of hours, it became tragically apparent that the situation was far more critical. Ritter was suffering from an acute aortic dissection, a catastrophic tear in the wall of the main artery carrying blood from the heart. Unlike a heart attack, which occurs when blood flow to the heart is blocked, an aortic dissection involves the sudden splitting of the artery wall, leading to massive internal bleeding and organ failure. The condition is often fatal if not detected immediately, and even with rapid medical intervention, survival rates are low. Emergency surgery was undertaken in an attempt to repair the damaged artery, but despite the best efforts of the surgical team, John Ritter could not be saved. He was pronounced dead at 10:48 p.m. that evening. His passing at the age of 54 was both sudden and untimely, cutting short the life of a man still vibrant, creative, and deeply involved in his work. The abruptness of his death left fans around the world stunned. Ritter had been known for his boundless energy, infectious humor, and warm, relatable persona, qualities that made him a beloved figure in television for decades. To lose him in the midst of active production, when he was still shaping stories, entertaining audiences, and mentoring younger actors, heightened the sense of tragedy. For colleagues on the set of 8 Simple Rules, the moment was surreal and devastating. Many had seen him just hours earlier, joking, rehearsing lines, and guiding the young cast. His sudden collapse reminded everyone of life's fragility and unpredictability, even for someone seemingly full of health and vitality. Friends and family later spoke of the shock and sorrow they felt, emphasizing the suddenness of the loss and the void left behind. Fans across the globe mourned the passing of a man whose on-screen warmth had become a staple in countless homes, creating a rare intimacy between performer and audience. Reportedly, although Ritter had been rushed to the hospital and initially treated for what was assumed to be a heart attack, it soon became clear that he had actually suffered an acute aortic dissection, a catastrophic tear in the main artery from the heart. The family came to believe that a misdiagnosis had delayed the correct treatment, critically reducing his chances of survival. This suspicion added a layer of frustration and anger to their grief, fueling questions about medical oversight and whether proper care could have altered the outcome. In response, Yazbek and her family took legal action, filing a wrongful death and medical malpractice lawsuit against the hospital and the treating physicians. The case highlighted not only the personal tragedy of Ritter's passing, but also a broader public health concern: the difficulty of recognizing and promptly treating aortic dissections. These events helped bring attention to a condition that, despite its sudden and often fatal nature, remained little understood by both the public and some medical practitioners. The legal proceedings drew media coverage and sparked conversations within the medical community, emphasizing the urgent need for awareness, education, and timely intervention for such cardiovascular emergencies. Beyond the courtroom, Amy Yazbek channeled her grief into a lasting, positive legacy. Motivated by the desire to prevent similar tragedies for other families, she established the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. The foundation's mission centers on raising awareness about aortic disease, supporting critical research into its causes and treatment, and educating both the public and medical professionals about early recognition and intervention. Through educational campaigns, conferences, fundraising, and advocacy, the foundation has reached thousands, helping to ensure that aortic dissection and related conditions are better understood and more effectively addressed. In this way, Ritter's death, while deeply sorrowful, has become a catalyst for life-saving knowledge and action. The foundation and related efforts also reflect the enduring spirit of John Ritter himself. Throughout his life, he had embodied resilience, humor, and a concern for others, qualities that, though expressed in his work on screen, are mirrored in the family's posthumous activism. By transforming personal loss into advocacy, Yazbek and her children have preserved Ritter's memory in a manner that is both practical and meaningful, creating a tangible impact that extends far beyond entertainment. Families who have faced similar medical emergencies now have access to resources and information that may save lives, a legacy that transforms grief into hope and action. What do you think about John Ritter? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.